Hi, everybody. Okay, so let's talk about sex. I may be using some words. In fact, I will be using some words that are clinical words for people's body parts. And I may use or hint at words that are vulgar versions of the same. So here we go. About 12 years ago, at my church, New Life Fellowship in Elmhurst, Queens, there came a man named Vincent who gave a one-day seminar talking about sexuality. And he said there was an experiment done with children by scientists. They gave the children building blocks, and they said, build something useful. Vincent said that invariably the boys would make roads and bridges and things that jut, whereas the girls would make houses and I guess other buildings, things that enclose. And Vincent said that sexuality so infuses us and so influences our personality that these children, with the boys with their jutting and the girls with their enclosing, were expressing their own sexual makeup. J.K. Rowling is a woman, and she built the Chamber of Secrets. The Chamber of Secrets is full, both the book and the movie. The Chamber of Secrets is full of sexual imagery, subtle sexual imagery, including a very womb-like chamber and other images. And I believe that this happens because, whether she meant to do this or not, she is using these subtle, pervasive sexual imagery to help the reader to cope with the onslaught of puberty, and particularly to help deal with the female fear of the male predator. I first noticed this when watching The Chamber of Secrets, the movie, on television for the second time. As Harry, Ron, and Gilderoy Lockhart entered the girls' bathroom, Harry came to the faucet, which had a little snake on it, a little etching of a snake, and he touched the snake, spoke to it in a language that I could understand, and it opened. The sinks opened into this circular entry into a dark tunnel. I thought to myself, oh, wow. Here, they're entering a girl's bathroom. He touches this little thing. It opens up. And as I thought about it more, it lines up. Now, before I go there, I want to talk about Tom, Ginny, and Harry, the triangle. They form an archetypical romantic or semi-romantic triangle that we've seen many times in literature and mythology and such. Ginny as the innocent young woman, Harry as the protective male, and Tom Riddle, a.k.a. Voldemort, as the predatory male. Tom charms Ginny, gets Ginny to confide in him, pulls Ginny to him and puts himself into her. You could say that Tom's relationship with Ginny is similar to that of an internet predator and his victim, or a child molester and his victim. Even though their relationship is not overtly sexual, there are the undertones and there are the parallels. Tom Riddle is like a rapist. When two people come together in a sexual relationship, I believe it's intended as a bonding, as a commitment, as two people bring something of themselves to create something new. They create something new like a partnership, a family, a baby. But the rapist misuses sex not to create something new with somebody else, but to recreate himself at the expense of the other. And so that's what Tom is doing to Ginny. Harry is the protective male, and Tom and Harry both come each with their own phallic symbol. Tom has that nice big bad basilisk of his, the big basilisk, that big snake. Snake is often a phallic symbol. Harry comes in with the wand, but he also gets later the sword of Gryffindor. Harry, as I've read in some of my sources, Harry is choosing in the Chamber of Secrets, in the story, what am I? Who am I? What am I going to be? He's coming into knowledge of his power, his sexuality, and he's choosing, in the end, not to use his power to dominate others, but to protect and to help others and himself to protect and to defend. So we go to the sexual imagery itself, the Chamber of Secrets. I don't have time to mention every single part, but Harry comes to that tiny little etching of a snake on the faucet that he touches. And the women, of course, have that tiny little representation that looks like a penis, the clitoris with clitoris. And the sinks open up, which kind of look like a vaginal opening. Harry goes in. Ron and Gilderoy follow him to a certain degree, but they can't go the rest of the way. Harry goes in, finds another entrance. He finally enters into the womb-like chamber. Harry makes a sort of reverse birth journey. He goes into the womb, into the chamber, where Ginny's laying there in fluid, like amniotic fluid, and she's unconscious. There are other symbols of sexuality, too, in the book and the movie. For example, I mentioned the basilisk already as a predatory male symbol, as being the big bad penis gone wayward, and Harry as a protective one. There's also the cat. Mrs. Norris is the first victim of the basilisk in this go-round. And Hermione, when she's making her transformation, accidentally transforms herself into a giant cat. We know a word for a female cat, of course, which is also used vulgarly, as we've seen in the news lately. So when Hermione is transformed to a giant cat, I believe this symbolizes the female fear, especially for an intellectual like Hermione, that men and boys, after her puberty, will see her as nothing more than a big, fat vagina, or a big, fat, I'll use the word pussy. So that's the fear that women have, that men would just see them as only that. There's also the roosters that Ginny is sent to kill. And we all know the other word for a rooster. Even the old-fashioned version of the Bible it talks about the cock crowing. So you can see the roosters as a rival male to the basilisk. So Tom sends Ginny to kill the roosters. And according to legend, the crow of the rooster can kill the basilisk. So that's another symbol. Then there's the mandrakes that are growing in Professor Sprout's greenhouse. The mandrake is an aphrodisiac, a legendary aphrodisiac. It's mentioned in the Bible, where Leah's son has mandrakes. Rachel asks, "Let me have your mandrakes." Leah says, "I'll give you my mandrakes if you send our husband Jacob to sleep with me again." Mandrakes are also in the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs, which I consider the sexiest book in the Bible. It's a man and a woman who are very strongly in love. Mandrakes are mentioned. The scent of the mandrakes is intoxicating them. The mandrakes are going to cure those who are paralyzed. The basilisk paralyzes both boys and girls. And there's Moaning Myrtle, who is an old victim, who is paralyzed and is forever in arrested development. But the mandrakes can rescue the others and save them from this attack, so that they can grow to a healthier sexuality. Other interpretations, the biblical one, John Granger, whom I'm sure many of you know from HogwartsProfessor.com, and who is actually here today somewhere, he has said that the Chamber of Secrets is one of the clearest allegories of Christian salvation since the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Another source I saw Ginny as Eve and the snake as the serpent that tempts Eve. You see Ginny as humanity, Tom as the devil, Harry as a Christ figure, like the second Adam, who comes to rescue humanity from sin. You can also see, besides the salvation story and the Garden of Eden story, with sexuality, you might look at this and say, how do we look at the Chamber of Secrets? Is it a sexual thing or is it a spiritual thing? Well, how about both? God created sex, and God uses sexuality to express his love for humanity. God calls himself the husband of Israel in the Old Testament. Christ calls himself the bridegroom of the church in the New Testament. Lastly, a Chamber of Secrets is a testing ground for lovers. Harry and Ginny in the Chamber of Secrets, the book 2. Hermione and Ron in book 7, the Deathly Hallows, because they make their journey too. So somehow the Chamber of Secrets becomes a meeting ground for true lovers. So in conclusion, the Chamber of Secrets has a lot of subtle sexual imagery to help the reader, especially the young reader, deal with sexual fears. And also, these other interpretations, biblical, Arthurian, mythological, don't take away from the sexual interpretation, but rather they enhance it. Because God made sex, and sex was meant to express love and creativity. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.